Hello, my name is Lee Ritchie, and I'm one of the Health Promotion Services Field Representatives for LGRMS, the Risk Control Organization for ACCG and GMA. Today, I want to share with you information about something we all do each and every day: eat. You are what you eat may be something your parents used to say, but this dated expression does have some truth behind it. Before I begin, I want to ask you a series of questions to help you self-assess your daily diet. Follow along with me and answer honestly for each one. Number 1, how often do you eat chips, fried foods, red meats, cheese made from cream or whole milk, egg yolks, or other high-fat foods or combination dishes made from these foods? Number 2, how often do you eat foods high in fiber? Foods such as beans, whole grains, cereals, fruits, and vegetables, which are high in fiber. And then question 3, in an average week, how many times do you engage in physical activity? Exercise or work which lasts at least 20 minutes without stopping and which is hard enough to make you breathe more heavily and get your heart beat faster. How'd you do? Are you happy with your answers, or do you see room for improvement? Just those few simple questions can shed a lot of light on how the choices we make with regards to diet and exercise on a daily basis affect our lives. This webinar is designed to give you information about how you can improve your diet in order to improve your overall health. Let's take a look at the learning objectives for this course. Number 1, recognize the negative effects of a poor diet on our health. Number 2, know why it is important to eat right and for the right reasons. Number 3, understand what healthy eating truly means. And number 4, identify the nutrients our bodies need. Let's begin. Let's take a look at some harsh realities to consider. Obesity is the second most common cause of preventable death in the United States. Over 60 million Americans over the age of 20 years old are obese. 9 million children and teens ages 6 to 19 are overweight. Diseases or conditions linked to being overweight include breast cancer, coronary artery disease, type 2 diabetes, sleep apnea, gallbladder disease, osteoarthritis, colon cancer, hypertension, and stroke. In particular, type 2 diabetes is growing at alarming rates. According to the American Diabetes Association, 23.6 million people, 7.8% of the population, have diabetes. Only 17.9 million are diagnosed, and the other 5.7 million are undiagnosed. 57 million people are pre-diabetic, and 1.6 million new cases are diagnosed each year. Although being overweight is not the only cause of type 2 diabetes, obesity and lack of physical exercise are two of the most common causes. And according to the CDC, nearly 95% of diabetes cases are due to obesity and overweight. Both obesity and diabetes play a significant role in the development of coronary artery disease. Coronary artery disease is characterized by plaque buildup on artery walls, slowing blood circulation, or causing blockages that can lead to a heart attack. In fact, many people don't even know they have coronary artery disease until after they've had a heart attack. A diet high in fat, salt, and cholesterol can also contribute to the development of heart disease. When it comes to losing weight, people often decide to drop the pounds for their appearance, not their health, and that isn't the right approach. Although trying to fit into a pair of jeans can be motivational, it often leads people looking for a quick fix through the latest fad diet craze. Fad diets are not the way to go, as they typically have nothing to do with good nutrition, but instead are focused on helping people lose as much weight as possible, as quickly as possible. These fad diets typically have start dates and end dates, which means you just go back to the bad habits afterwards. Let's look at a few fad diet examples. The South Beach diet, Mediterranean diet, Weight Watchers, Zone diet, Atkins diet, Paleo diet, Volumetrics, Raw Food diet, Nutrisystem, and the Macrobiotic diet. Now, if fad diets and quick fixes are what you're looking for, you've come to the wrong place. It's about changing your diet rather than going on a diet. If you don't make a commitment to long-term change, any success you see will be short-lived, and you will wind up among the millions of yo-yo dieters. Healthy weight loss is a pound or 2 per week, and this is done through healthy eating and moderate exercise. Now let's pause for a moment to see how you're progressing. According to the Center for Disease Control, CDC, in Atlanta, nearly blank of diabetes cases in the United States are caused by being overweight or obese. Is it A, 50%, B, 65%, C, 89%, or D, 95%? If you answered D, 95%, you're correct. Research also indicates that 90% of type 2 diabetes cases could be prevented through a combination of healthy diet and active lifestyle. Now, when it comes to healthy eating, moderation is key. Don't think eating healthy means you can never have the foods that you love. Your favorite foods are not banished from your diet. Just make sure they're not a central part of your diet. In fact, denying yourself makes you less likely to stay on track. You increase your chances of derailing from healthy eating in a big way. You can still have your cake and eat it too, just make sure that it's a small piece and it's not every day. When changing your diet, doing a complete diet overhaul is a huge undertaking, so try to break it up. Start with eating a healthy breakfast, and be sure to eat breakfast. It's the most important meal of the day for the reason. Skip the soda and drink water instead. Don't sub in diet soda either. Pack your lunch to avoid the drive-thru, and try to never let yourself get too hungry. That's when bad choices happen. Try shrinking the size of your plate. Fix your meal on a salad plate rather than a dinner plate. If you're going to eat out, try sharing an entree, or order off the lunch or kids menu for a smaller portion. Or when you get your meal, go ahead and box up half of the meal and take it to go to avoid overeating. Don't go back for seconds, and avoid all-you-can-eat buffets like the plague. So what does eating healthy even mean anyway? Eating healthy can at times seem confusing due to the numerous fad diets available, but it's actually quite simple. You should eat a largely plant-based diet. Strive to eat foods that come from plants rather than foods made in a plant. Choose healthy fats such as olive and canola oil, almonds, and avocados. Eat less red meat. Red meat, if consumed at all, really should only be consumed about once a month. Pause for shock and horror. If you're a multiple red meat a week eater, try trimming it down to once a week and then work down to once a month. Be sure to avoid unhealthy saturated and trans fats as much as possible. Monitor your caloric intake. Too much of a good thing can still be too much. And be sure to complement your healthy diet with exercise. Strive for 2.5 hours of moderate intensity physical activity each week. Think of moderate intensity as something you can talk while doing, but not necessarily sing, like brisk walking through the neighborhood with a friend or family member. You also want to be sure you're balancing your food intake. Let's cover the basic about these different types of nutrients. Some important dietary nutrients include 1. Carbohydrates, 2. Protein, 3. Fats, 4. Fiber, and 5. Vitamins and minerals. Let's take a closer look at carbohydrates. Carbohydrates have gotten a bad reputation in the last few years, in large part due to low-carb and no-carb fad diets. However, our bodies need carbohydrates as an energy source. They are our fuel, and our body can't function properly without them. Excellent sources of carbohydrates are whole grains, vegetables, fruits, and beans. Be sure to avoid refined carbohydrates that are found in processed foods, such as pastries, soft drinks, white bread, and white rice. Let's pause again to see how you're progressing. True or false? Eating healthy means never eating chocolate or pizza again. If you answered false, you're correct. You don't have to give up the foods that you love. You just need to learn how to enjoy them in moderation. Now let's talk protein. Protein is important because it makes up enzymes that power many chemical reactions in our bodies. When it comes to protein, the body processes animal and vegetable protein in basically the same way. Vegetable sources of protein, such as beans, nuts, and whole grains, are the healthiest sources of protein. When eating animal protein, your healthiest choices are fish and poultry. You want to be sure to consider the accompanying nutrients when selecting a protein source. Let's look at some examples. Let's compare some protein sources. A 6-ounce broiled porterhouse steak has 38 grams of protein, but 44 grams of fat, 16 of which are saturated. 6 ounces of broiled salmon has 34 grams of protein, 18 grams of fat, with 4 of those grams being saturated. And then on the vegetable side, 1 cup of cooked lentils has 18 grams of protein and less than 1 gram of fat. Now when it comes to fat, the issue has more to do with the type of fat that you eat over how much you eat, because not all fats are created equal. Bad fats are saturated and trans fats, and they increase your risk of disease. Saturated fats tend to be solid at room temperature and are seen most commonly in animal fat products, such as red meat, cheese, butter, and milk. Trans fats should be avoided altogether. Consuming it increases your bad cholesterol levels while decreasing your good cholesterol levels. Companies love to put them in their products because they increase the shelf life of a product while decreasing the refrigeration requirements. This makes them great for baked goods. Trans fat doesn't spoil as easy as other fats. It can withstand several heatings without breaking down, and the process can turn a liquid oil into a solid. This allows for easier transportation and wider uses, and it's much cheaper. Good fats are mono and polyunsaturated fats. These good fats can improve blood cholesterol levels, lower your risk of heart disease, and benefit insulin levels and blood sugar. Omega-3 fats are particularly beneficial for brain and mood. Let's take a look at some good fat sources. Some great sources of monounsaturated fat are avocados, olives, nuts such as almonds, peanuts, macadamia nuts, hazelnuts, pecans or pecans, and cashews, and natural peanut butter containing just peanuts and salt. No Peter Pan or Jif here. And for polyunsaturated fats, you can find those in walnuts, sunflower, sesame, and pumpkin seeds, flaxseed, fatty fish such as salmon, tuna, mackerel, herring, trout, and sardines, and soy milk and tofu. Let's talk fiber. Dietary fiber, or roughage, is an indigestible carbohydrate derived from plants. It's found in fruits, vegetables, grains, and legumes, and comes in 2 forms, soluble and insoluble fiber. The solubility of the fiber is a factor for how it impacts certain disease processes in the body. Studies show fiber consumption reduces risk of heart disease, diabetes, diverticulitis, which is digestive tract inflammation, and constipation. Let's make a case for fiber. A Harvard study of 40,000 male health professionals and a similar study of female nurses showed that a high total dietary fiber intake was linked to a 40% lower risk of coronary heart disease. Harvard researchers also found that eating an extra 2 servings of whole grains a day decreased the risk of type 2 diabetes by 21%. Conversely, a diet low in cereal fiber, containing high glycemic foods, those which cause big spikes in blood sugar, more than doubled the risk of type 2 diabetes when compared to a diet high in cereal fiber and low in high glycemic index foods. If you find these statistics appealing and you would like to increase the amount of fiber in your diet, here are a few tips. Eat whole fruits rather than drinking fruit juice. Replace your white rice, bread, and pasta with brown rice and whole grain products. Eat whole grain cereal for breakfast. Snack on veggies rather than chips. And substitute legumes, think peas and beans, for meat 2 to 3 times per week. In order to get all of the vitamins and minerals your body needs, be sure to eat plenty of fruits and vegetables. Consuming fruits and vegetables can reduce your risk for many diseases and medical conditions, such as heart disease, hypertension, and some forms of cancer. No single fruit or vegetable provides all of the nutrients you need, so you want to be sure to eat a variety each day. Now, if you're looking to increase your fruit and vegetable consumption, and you should be, here are some tips for eating more. Keep it where you can see it, either right on the counter or in the front of the refrigerator. Make it a convenient choice. Find ways to include them in every meal, such as fruit for dessert rather than ice cream. Experiment with salads and stir fries. Get creative. And try to pick a new piece of produce to try each week at the supermarket. Be adventurous. You may find something you haven't tried before and you really like. However, not all fruits and vegetables are created equal, so let's look at some of your best picks. Look for dark leafy vegetables, such as lettuce, spinach, Swiss chard, and mustard greens. The darker the green, the better. One of the most popular brands of lettuce in the United States is, you guessed it, iceberg lettuce, but it doesn't contain a lot of nutrients. Go for something that's darker green. Cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, bok choy, and kale are excellent choices. With fruits and vegetables, look for a variety in color. Select yellow, orange, and red. Cooked tomatoes are actually healthier than raw tomatoes. Some of the healthiest tomatoes in the grocery store are found in a can. And then try your citrus fruits, oranges, lemons, limes, and grapefruit. Let's pause one last time to see how you're progressing. Studies have shown fiber helps reduce the risk of developing A, heart disease, B, diabetes, C, diverticulitis, or D, all of the above. If you answered D, all of the above, you're correct. Studies show fiber consumption reduces risk of heart disease, diabetes, diverticulitis, and constipation. Let's talk calcium. Calcium is an essential mineral when it comes to bone health. It helps build bones when we're young and slows bone loss as we grow older. Outside of bones, it also plays an important role in blood clotting, nerve pulse transmission, regulation of heart rhythm, and reduces your risk of colon cancer. Milk is calcium rich, but it can also be high in saturated fat and vitamin A, which at high levels can actually weaken bones. Some good non-dairy sources of calcium include collard greens, bok choy, fortified soy milk, and dried beans and legumes. Another consideration for eating healthy is to watch your salt intake. Your body does need a small amount of sodium to work properly, but too much sodium is bad for your health. Excess sodium can increase your blood pressure and your risk for a heart disease or stroke. You should try to consume no more than 2,300 milligrams of sodium a day, about a teaspoon worth. Or if you have high blood pressure or risk of developing it, 1,500 milligrams of sodium or less is best for you. Not salting your food doesn't mean you're safe. Americans actually get most of their daily sodium, more than 75%, from processed foods and restaurant foods. Ideally, you should get all of the nutrients your body needs through food that you eat. But sometimes we experience shortfalls, and that's okay. A daily multivitamin and maybe a vitamin D supplement, along with healthy diet and exercise, should provide most everyone with all of the nutrients they need. Be careful with supplements, as more is not always better. Consuming too many vitamin supplements can actually be harmful to your health. Now for a quick recap and some final thoughts. The best food choices you can make are fresh fruits and vegetables, whole grain cereals and bread, fish and poultry, olive and canola oil, low-fat dairy, nuts and legumes. Always choose something fresh over prepackaged or processed. And making your own food is always best over eating out. Thank you for taking a moment to learn about eating right for health and fitness. If you have any questions about what your diet should consist of based on a medical condition, please consult with your doctor.